Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Voices from Behind the Walls of TDCJ. Of course, I am the queen of collaborations across these social media platforms. If you guys would please share this out in your circle of influence because you never know what someone may be in need of. For those that do not know who I am Angela Thomas Smith. Like I said, affectionately known as the Queen of Collaboration. I am the visionary of Aspiring Authors Magazine, the Crew Podcast, and AALAC. And my whole desire, not to mention the Free Texas Campaign, I am the co founder of the Free Texas Campaign. But my whole idea is to be the change that I desire to see in this world. And in order to be that change, we have to be willing to change. So I am out here trying to bring light to some of the injustices and some of the things that are taking place within the Texas judicial system. There's been so many people that have been wrongfully and overly incarcerated over the last 3 to 4 decades. It has been brought to my attention. So I cannot sit by and continue to be silent. So now that it's been brought to my attention, I have to be a voice and I have to speak out. So I am opening up my platform and all the platforms that I'm attached to bring awareness. So I want you guys to please make sure that you are sharing this live, whether you're catching it live or if you're catching it as a replay. Please go over, check out our reels, check out the Free Texas Campaign YouTube and Facebook page. We're also on iHeartRadio. We're also on Amazon Music. We're on 10 to 15 different platforms so you guys can share us out and allow this to penetrate around the U.S. so that people can see that there is definitely need for change, not just in the state of Texas, but in the judicial system, period. Today, I have this is his second time on. Um, I have Mr. James Legate, and today we're going to be talking about his case. I actually have some questions that I'm going to be asking, but we're going to dive deep into a couple of things so that we can address some issues that are taking place within the TDCJ and the judicial system there in the state of Texas. So, Mr. Legate, if you would briefly tell everybody who you are.
Good morning. I'm James Legate, and thank you, Angela, for having me back, and thank you, audience, for giving me the time to share my story. I have been incarcerated for over 25 years and for a murder that supposedly happened in September the 3rd of 1998. The only thing is I had nothing to do with this murder. And since then, evidence has been discovered that it was based on false evidence and false testimony. However, because of the judicial system, it is hard to get anyone to help me prove these facts or to actually establish these facts in a court of law. I'm not even entitled to an evidentiary hearing to substantiate the claims that were brought against me that can be refuted by this new evidence, which is on a documentary that was done by Isis Romero from KSAT 12, who is now part of KINS 5 in San Antonio, Texas. The evidence clearly shows the injustice, and I'm hoping that people will just go out and check and see for themselves. Nobody has to believe what I say. I'm just grateful that Angela and is allowing me to share this with you all. And if anybody else has any questions, I'm more than willing to give the answers, and I have nothing to hide. So, Angela, if you have stuff to ask me, I'm more than willing to answer them.
So, can you tell me what are some things that you believe the Texas judicial system failed in your case that has led to your wrongful conviction?
Well, one is the main objective, I believe, is the false testimony. They use a guy by the name of Jesse Hernandez. From the beginning of the investigation, they traced a gun to a guy named Arlenbach down in New Braunfels, Texas, who said he gave it to another guy named Ochoa in San Antonio, and then he in turn gave it to Jesse Hernandez. Well, when they went to go and investigate him, Jesse Hernandez clearly showed that they were going to put the case case on him. He passed the buck because I was already locked up. He said, well, he gave it to me. Well, that was never proven. It's never been corroborated. It was just a hearsay testimony that he brought in, where he even acknowledged in trial that he overheard a guy by the name of Pedro Samora tell me that he needed me to take care of this guy, the deceased, Mr. Garcia. The fact is that during trial, the prosecuting attorney made known that this Pedro Samora was actually killed, or he was dead. So they weren't able to indict him. We were never able to subpoena him, nothing. Well, 20 years later, in the documentary entitled Conviction/The Bingo King Murder, which can be seen on YouTube, they discovered not only that Mr. Samora was alive and well, but now the prosecuting attorney are now saying that it's more than likely that Mr. Samora will never, ever face any criminal charges because there is no independent corroboration to bring a case against him. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If that's the case, I've been locked up for 25 years because you're saying that he had me commit this crime. But then again, there is never going to be any charges filed against this man. Well, it also discovered that Jesse Hernandez wasn't even Jesse Hernandez. His real name was Juan Antonio Hernandez. At the time, he was using his brother's identity. Now, getting back to the gun, Jesse Hernandez clearly said in court that he gave it to me because I was supposed to have been Mr. Samora's bodyguard. Well, that was a joke because I worked for Advantage Auto Finance and I usually opened up from 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I stayed there till about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, so that would make one, some bad bodyguard. Anyway, he also said that statement that he said by giving me the gun, the court reporter conspired, I believe, with the state to audit my or re-edit my transcripts because some of that testimony is not in my transcripts. Now, the gun was actually a 38 snub nose that they said they found that was taped up, and they said it was just laying next to a briefcase that was in a wide open, which was my briefcase. But all my documents, all my license, my dealer tags, anything and everything that can initiate who the owner was laying in the floor at the murder scene. Now, if you think about it, they took my briefcase, and this is my belief, they took my briefcase and actually set it right in an opening area so anybody can find, and they just put the gun right next to it. Now, when the incident actually happened, as you'll see in the documentary, as I explained, I noticed somebody behind me, right? Because I got scared and I ran. I heard something, they threw a table over, and I got scared and I ran. I do a little description, I'm not an artist, and I explained to him, look, the guy I seen, he had dark clothing, he had something on his head like a do-rag or something like this. Well, the crazy part was I didn't even know nothing about the witness testimonies. Then it came out later on that they all said that they saw a guy in dark clothing. Well, how would I know this guy had dark clothing unless I seen it, right? Well, the fact is, I had an ivory color shirt on that day with olive green pants, all right? I had a witness, and even the waitress at the club next door was saying that I had a white shirt on, and so did this other witness that was outside. We saw a guy run right by him, going straight across the parking lot of the place, and he said he saw a guy with a white shirt on. Now, a guy getting off his car right in front of the place where the crime of the scene happened, he saw a guy run out in dark clothing. He said he had a ponytail, and Mr. Garcia reaching out to try to grab him, and that's when he fell to his death. But he said that guy went along and made a quick right, he turned to the left and went to the back of the building, which to some abandoned apartments, I believe it was. But anyway, those are the things that actually contributed to my conviction. But the fact of the matter is that you convicted me because they said that this guy hired me to do it, but now he'll never face any criminal charges because there's nothing to really support that allegation. So my question is, how is this possible that you can hold me in prison for a crime that another guy that you said that this guy held me on, but now he'll never face criminal charges? I can't see that, and I've been trying to fight that and trying to get help. I can't get an evidentiary hearing. I can't get nothing. And this is the type of judicial system we live in. I don't have no rights to due process. I have no rights to nothing. So I'm just here.
And all of this was not available during the actual trial.
About him being alive, no. None of this got discovered until 20 years later when they did the documentary. This is when Edith Romero and her crew actually discovered all this new evidence.
So there was a lack of investigation,
Yes.
basically.
There was a lack of right. There was a lack of investigation. They didn't properly investigate. My attorneys even didn't properly investigate. They did what they did. My attorney was just barely out of law school, and the only reason I chose him because I figured because being out of law school, you were going to do something to show your interest in justice. And but he took on the assistance of a veteran lawyer by the name of Billy Birchman, who is now deceased. And it really shows that Mr. Birchman was the one that was grooming him and helping him in a sense that rather than helping me, it was really hurting me. Because even during closing, they asked the court for instructions on self-defense, which was against my wishes. I said that you ain't going to use that because that's lying. Why would anybody want to use self-defense when I'm claiming not guilty? It's like you're telling me that I had the gun and that I shot him. I said that's a lie. I'm not going to do that. So, but they did it anyway, and I think that also contributed to my conviction. And even though the judge denied that request, it's already planted in the minds of the jurors. Well, hey, once he's asking for self-defense instructions, he must have shot him. You see what I'm saying?
So
these are the things that also affected me, but like any other citizen of the state of Texas or in the United States, we depend on our attorneys. We depend on the justice system to ensure that justice is done. What justice do we gain when our own attorneys or the prosecutors are allowed to do whatever they want to do and convict the innocent? See, this is not the way it's supposed to work, but this is what's going on.
You just explained a type of misconduct. And was it addressed in what did was it addressed in what was the outcome of it being addressed? Did anybody address the fact that you said you didn't want to do a defense plea because that was a lie?
Well, no, nobody did anything. My attorney didn't do anything. Nobody wanted to do anything. Like I said, nothing was actually addressed to these facts because, like anybody else, I didn't know nothing about law. It took me all these years now because I've been studying law all these years just to try to understand how can you convict me for something I didn't do. Well, had I known what I know now, I would have just got up and objected myself, and I would have put my attorneys out there. Hey, wait a minute, they're lying. But my attorneys, the only thing they'll do is tell me, hey, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. We got this. Be quiet. So here I am depending on them, and I wound up getting convicted instead of them doing a good defense strategy. They just like sabotaging as well. It's like if they played tag with the prosecutor. They kind of argue, but then again, it's like a tit for tat. You're going to help me, I'm going to help you. We want this guy, you're going to get him. Well, remember, I had a federal and a state prosecutor going against me. They were both in trial. I've never heard of that, but they say it could happen. So, okay, well then they had another federal prosecutor come in and testify. So I'm like, I couldn't understand all this. I did have evidence. I had alibi witnesses, which is James Legate. He was one of my alibi witnesses, but everything he said to them was hearsay, so the court denied it. I had a guy come in named Charles Rodriguez, said that ex-Congressman Albert Bustamante was the one that was trying to seek a hit on this man because he lost his congressmanship because of him. And he offered a $50,000 price on this man's head.
So was no investigation done into that? Those are some that is some big allegations for it not to be investigated. Or they was just looking. It seemed like to me they was just looking for a fall guy, and anybody that did not have a way out. That's who they targeted.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true. And the only reason that they did it, they had an in-camera investigation of this guy, Charles Rodriguez. But like I said, they brought in another assistant federal prosecutor who had nothing to do with the investigation. But they brought him in, and he said that he was invited to this investigation where Charles Rodriguez was claiming that Albert Bustamante, while in the halfway house, approached him and asked him if he can help him put a hit on this guy. And they said, well, why would he want to go to you? He says, because I was in the drug business and Mr. Garcia, we owned a limousine company together. So he knew I knew him. And they had a fallout or something like this. But either way, the whole thing is it was never investigated. We tried to get a continuation to try to investigate these facts. The judge denied it. She only gave us 24 hours. And even my attorney said, well, we couldn't do nothing for 24 hours, so we just left it alone. So they never allowed him. What they said, though, and I've been trying to get it through open records, is that Jack Stick, who was an assistant federal prosecutor at the time, who I heard was now a state representative, was in charge of that investigation. And up to this date, I still can't get information on Jack Stick. You know, I've been trying to write. I wrote, open a freedom of information request to the United States government, Justice Department, and they still can't help me. They referred it to San Antonio. They never respond. So we can't respond to you. So, I mean, everything and anything I'm doing, it's just shot down. You know, and it's hard on me because everything I've been doing on my own. My mom, you know, all my resources are already depleted. Because, you know, my mom's old. My mom would help me in any way she can. She's already 84. She's dealing with dementia. So I don't, you know, for the past years, I don't request nothing from them. I don't ask them for nothing. I'd rather them live a comfortable life than ask them to do this for me, do that for me. So everything I'm doing is on my own. This is why I'm grateful, and I thank God that you, Angela, and your podcast are allowing me to share my story. I'm glad, and I'm blessed to be able to touch anybody's ear who believes in justice. And like I said, they don't have to believe me. They can go and see my documentary. They can read the story they wrote from the Texas Observer magazine. It's called the Texas Observer magazine, and they wrote a story entitled "The Burden of Proof." And it talks about all kinds of stuff of what my ex-wife back then was trying to do to help me prove my innocence. You know, but I'm still here. You know, and I just thank God every day I wake up that something is going to get better, and I know it will. Especially if I can get people out there that believe in justice, are willing to have a voice to say something like, "Where's the justice for Legate?" That's all I'm asking. I'm asking for anybody and everybody who can actually help in bringing awareness to this wrongful incarceration. At least help me get an evidentiary hearing or whatever it is possible to get a new trial. You know, they don't have to exonerate me. They can just, if you say you have evidence that I did something, okay, I'll pay the piper, but use it on viable evidence. Put me in the trial and bring the evidence that supports your allegations. Don't be using false allegations or false testimony to convict the innocent. That ain't what our judicial system is about. Our judicial system was made to be honorable. But all the stuff that they did to me is really outside the scope of their duties. You know, it has nothing to do with law. All it's based on is vindictiveness for whatever reason. And this is why I was convicted. They just wanted a pawn, and I'm here. I'm an scapegoat for whatever reason, I don't know. And this is why I thank you, Angela, for doing whatever you can for me by putting my story out there in the air, in the platforms, and continue to fight.
So, in your opinion, what reform or changes would you suggest to address the corruption or unfairness within the Texas judicial system that could prevent excessive incarceration and wrongfully incarceration like now in the future?
Well, I already know under the Michael Morton law that they revitalized the discovery process where now they have to give everything, even if it's inculpatory evidence, they have to give it to the defense. I'm thinking what they should do is bring a little bit more of what their duties are supposed all prosecutors, even special prosecutors, are there to ensure justice is done, not just to find a conviction. They're supposed to ensure justice is done. If they apply that rule of law in their duties, then it might be able to help, because they're not supposed to seek witnesses. They're not supposed to suppress evidence that can actually support the innocence. They're supposed to allow you everything possible to help you either get convicted or be acquitted. But 9 times out of 10, most prosecutors, if not all, are using their authority to convict. Like I said a while back, there's no more scales of justice. It's no more innocent until proven guilty. The old adage is out of there. It's now guilty until proven innocence. So accountability is one of the things that needs to be accomplished. I'm not saying that if prosecutors are misled to believe something, they're supposed to be doing a thorough investigation, because it all starts in the police departments. It all starts from their investigation. Their investigation through the prosecution guide reports that has a detailed outline of everything that they have uncovered, and they give it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor, what they do is they go through that and they build their case off of that. This is how they get their witnesses to go before the grand jurors. They get the grand jurors to see if there's probable cause to initiate an indictment. On my case, for instance, they use a guy named Jesse Hernandez. Well, when you go before the grand jury, you're sworn to tell the truth and be truthful about everything that the grand jurors, the questions that they ask you. Well, Jesse Hernandez goes in there and lied about his whole identity. He admits in grand juries, because I even have the summons of his grand juror papers that shows him under Jesse Hernandez. And the sad part about it is the prosecutor knew that wasn't even his name. The prosecutor knew that the gun was traced to him. The prosecuting attorney knew that he had pending drug charges. You see, but none of this mattered. When he went before the grand jury, he was somebody else. So all his record was not part of the grand jury testimony. So he actually committed aggravated perjury during the grand jury session with the approval of the prosecuting attorney, Juanita Vázquez Gardner. Now, to that be done, is that constitutional? Is that, don't seem like it needs to be accounted for? They need accountability on stuff like this. You can't allow a person to lie that lies, in front of the grand jurors just so the prosecutor can get an indictment. You're not supposed to have them lie in front of jurors or anything just to get a conviction. There's many case laws that says this. The fact is, however, is that to produce it or put it into a valid and meaningful writ takes years and skills of attorneys that can actually do it. I'm afraid to take that second bite. I can probably do it myself, but I'm afraid, because I know that my language might not be accordingly the way it should be put. And so this is why I'm just, any law students, any paralegals, any lawyers doing pro bonos, where they will even just give me the opportunity to do something so I can give it to them and they can go over it and edit it or see however it can be done would be great help to me, but I can't even get that.
Well, what we are doing as part of the Free Texas campaign, we're going to be partnering with one of the colleges there in Texas. Still working on some logistics with that. We have a couple paralegals that's going to be working with us to try to bring some light to a lot of this that is taking place. I'm going to be collaborating and partnering with some other influencers that are doing the same thing that I'm doing to try to bring some awareness to these different cases. And we're just going to be flooding. We're going to be flooding social media, the media outlets that we have influence with, newspaper articles. And if we have to raise funds to put up billboards, that's what we're going to start doing, because people need to see this, and we're going to stay before them. I am trying to work on a committee that will be willing to go out and stand at these people's doorstep with signs and let them know that we're not playing, that we are serious about this, and there's too many people that are incarcerated. And I will continue to call out these Congress people names that I have reached out to with no avail, no response. It's like they ignore everything that we sent out. Ron Reynolds, you got Sheila Jackson Lee, Monica Dela Cruz, you got Carlo Sherman. You got a lot of them, and I tag them. I comment on their post, and I'm letting them know that I'm not going anywhere. Somebody gonna address this stuff sooner or later, because I'm not gonna be quiet, because it's too many people that are behind prison walls that should not be behind prison wall. Yeah, some people did do what they did. They did it. They not disputing that they did it. But these people are over exaggerating the laws. They're falsifying evidence, and they are blatantly railroading people. And that is not acceptable. We need to hold these people, these elected officials, accountable. They need to be some type of transparency. That no, don't nothing need to be done behind closed doors in secrecy. Everything needs to be out open, and it needs to be done in the public, because they have truly lost the public's trust, and they need to gain it back. And how they're going to gain it back is through transparency and accountability. That is what's needed. And that's why I am doing what I'm doing. I will not stop, because I know that it could not be easy. Because I know being behind those prison walls and in those facilities, I know it's rough. I know it's hard. And then having to not really have anybody to go to bat for you, and then you know that you're innocent, and you have to endure those hardships and those things. I've seen some pictures of the food that they serve y'all. I wouldn't serve some of that to my dog. 1 minute left. So I'm disheartened at a lot of the stuff that goes on. Before we close, I want you, this last couple seconds that you got, put a plea out to the people real quick.
If there's anybody out there who believes in justice, all I'm asking is for whatever help, whatever voice you got, to help me with. That's all I'm asking. I want them to see that there are people out there who care about justice.
Yeah.
And I can call you back if you like. If not,
yes, you can. You can. I said you can. You can call right back.
I'm gonna call you right back then.
Okay.
So we can just finish this and done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
The caller has hung up. So this is what happens. They get a 30-minute call. So I have another caller that's going to be calling in about 9 minutes. So I'm gonna give him a chance to close out with whatever it is that he wants to share. Y'all, I just really, if y'all are tuning in, if y'all are catching this as a replay, if y'all would please just share this out. Go over to the Free Texas Campaign Facebook page, YouTube, follow, like, share, because these are, and I'm gonna show you a list. I have a list, y'all. I have 2 lists of people that are wrongfully and overly incarcerated in the state of Texas. 2 lists, y'all. Lists full of people. These are people that I'm working with and talking to on a day-to-day basis, trying to bring some justice and some light to their stories, y'all. This is sad. And then these legislators, they get to go home at nighttime. They get to sleep in the comfort of their own beds, while these people are doing the things that they're doing. And it's obvious that a lot of these cases, these people, they indictments was rubber stamped and all kind of stuff. So we're gonna get him on so we can finish call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. To accept this free call, press thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now. Okay. We have about 8 minutes before the next guy comes on. So if you want to whatever you want, if you need people to reach out to you, of course I shared your TDCJ number. So if anybody want to write, if you want people to write you, how can they support what you're trying to do, whether reach out to me or whatever, what you want, how you want them to reach out to you and how they can support, because the main thing is about getting support.
Right. Well, if anybody would like to contact me, they can probably contact me through you, so this way I can give you the actual. Everything is digital mail now. Either that, or they can go on the text messaging, like the way you do it. But they can probably get that information from you on how to do that, because I really don't know how that works. Also, my whole thing of trying to bring awareness is, if anybody, not everybody out there, can contact their congressmen, their representatives, the senators, and let them know where is the justice for Legate. Point out the documentary, point out the story, point out everything and anything. Is how can a man be convicted of a murder that y'all say he was hired by a certain person that was presumed dead, but then when they find him alive, that he will never face any criminal charges? So how can you hold another person accountable under one theory, but you change the theory up at the end? I don't understand it. I never could understand it. I've been trying to figure this one out for the longest. Even the prosecutor said she talked to a witness who told her own investigator that I didn't do it. But then when she said that she spoke to her, I'm like, okay, and that everything would hurt me rather than help me. So then I said, okay, well, if that's true, why did you hide her? Why did you go all the way and hide her versus just putting her on the stand against me? You see, because it showed that it was nothing but another fabrication of a lie. That's all the prosecutor did from the beginning, and I even claimed that during the sentencing phase, is I called her a liar and I said she fabricated everything, and now everything is coming up and it's proving that point. So anybody and everybody who wants to contact me, like I said, they can contact you, which I believe would be easier, because you go through digital mail, and it's up in Dallas, and I don't have the address at this time, but I will fax it to you or email it to you, and it takes like a month just to get a letter from anybody who sends letters through that email, that digital mailing system. But like I said, if you can give them the information on how to use the e-messaging like you do, then they can contact me through there also. They can also hook up their phones to let me know, and I'm willing to answer any questions or do whatever it is that, whatever they're trying to suggest or give me their opinions or thoughts. It's great. Anything and everything would help me. Anything that can put, more than one mind is an excellent mind. And, whatever it is, like I said, but I want people to look at all the evidence, because everything that I am saying, I can support. I have all the evidence. I have everything that can prove anything and everything that shows this wrongful conviction. But again, I cannot get the help. I cannot get an attorney. I did go to the Innocent Sergeant of Texas that Michael Ware is over, and Miss Hill, clearly told me that, well, you don't have no new evidence. I said, what do you mean I don't have new evidence? But this guy was dead, now he's alive, and will never face criminal charges. That's not new evidence. Then I realized that this type of innocent project only deals with DNA. There is no DNA, although there was a lot of blood all over the place, as it was told to me. There is no DNA. I have no DNA on me. They thought I had blood on my shirt. It was not blood. It was another foreign substance. Like I told them, I was eating hot sauce and chips that day that I got on my shirt before I walked into the office looking for Miss Meredith Maddox. But there's nothing. There is no gunshot residue found on my left hand or right hand, which they tested not even 20, 25 minutes after. There was nothing, no witnesses, hey, they saw me do this. There's no corroborating witnesses that support Jesse Fernandez's statement that he overheard, even though two other guys he mentioned that were supposed to be at the so-called meeting, a Robert Montes and a Gilbert De Hoya. How come they were never subpoenaed? How come they were never indicted under the law of the party in the state of Texas? Although Robert Montes was subpoenaed, and I retracted.
Well, we have I have the other caller coming in now. So
okay, well, and I thank you, Angela, one more time, and the people out in the public, I thank you for anything and everything you have to do for me.
All right.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
It won't let me switch calls, so I gotta wait for him to call back. Well, y'all have heard it, and these are the types of cases that y'all will be hearing going forward. Um, and it's sad that this is what's happening in the state of Texas, and they're getting no relief. So I'm going to be sharing. I have another call that's going to be calling in. So if you guys will hang around, I actually have 2 more interviews. So hang around and please share this out.